Yep, Errata Text is back for the first time in several months. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get better on getting these out, and as I can admit, only part of the reason the episode took so long to make was because of all of the organized play kit I had to order. Although, considering how much I talk about just the organized play kits in that video, I should probably call it organized play kits, because I don't talk about organized play so much. Although, in regards to organized play, I will have to confess that I might have put the cart before the horse for the whole video, because I never go over why organized play is synonymous with local game stores. I think nobody brought it up in the comments because I think everybody who watches these videos are, for the most part, on the same page. They're like, yeah, organized play is hosted at local stores, yada yada yada. I don't necessarily think it's because it's the association with the business. I think it's mainly an accountability thing. Like what I keep talking about with like the sign-in sheets and all that. It's an accountability thing because as much fun as I think it would be for them to also open it up to things like libraries or like after school or summer programs for kids, the reason that they sell them exclusively to brick and mortar stores is an accountability thing. Because if they opened up the ability for just about anybody to open organized play kits, you can guarantee that the order forms would be absolutely dogpiled by an army of Jimothys who would buy them all up to make them scarce and then turn around to sell them at a profit like they did with everything card game related back in 2020. It would just be that again. What exactly is a Jimothy? I'll talk about it in another video maybe. But the thing is, it is very difficult to fake being the owner of a brick and mortar card game store. You have a lot of documentation for that. You have the receipts basically in order to own a store, and that is to make sure that it is in fact going to a store who will use the kit as intended for gaming rather than just being somebody who sells the contents. And as much as I think I would enjoy seeing these things sent to places like libraries and like after school or summer programs, at the end of the day, it is a business, not a charity, and those product sales are kind of what's important. So, although while we're on the subject of that again, I've learned that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Organized play program is actually pretty different. It's this kind of bizarre backwards thing where rather than Yu-Gi-Oh! Appealing to stores saying, hey, join our organized play program, what they do is they make the stores apply for organized play, and the support that they send to these stores is not based on orders, but is instead based on results. It's based on how many people they can attract to the store, which almost seems a little more insidious now that I think about it. They are shifting the burden of advertising the game and drawing players to the stores themselves, although admittedly, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! They're not going to have a lot of trouble doing that. But this is one of those cases where the big three really are not terribly helpful because they benefit from the fact that they are already huge. Of course, Konami can ask the stores to have the burden of advertising the game. They're Yu-Gi-Oh! People are going to show up. Although, if somebody tried to do the exact same thing with a brand new game, you know, you call the store and say, hey, how many people showed up to organized play? Their answer would be 0, you dumb ox, because nobody knows your game exists. Same with Pokemon. Although Pokemon's kits are, you have to pay for the kits. The stores have to pay for the Pokemon kits, but they are really cheap because they contain less than a deck's worth of cards, some coloring pages, and a roll of stickers. Like Teaching Supply Store bonanza on those. So they're really cheap. They have a high amount of stamina. They used to do more. It used to be that you could also get like the gym badges and stuff. They used to be a bit fancier, but the way they are now, I honestly think is fine for what they need to be. I also talked about the Dragon Ball ones. These are actually normally supposed to be like for a release event, but I understand the complaints with these sealed promos. Occasionally they are competitive with some of the Bandai games, like apparently there's been a kerfuffle over some of the ones in the Digimon packs, which is why I say stick to just doing premium versions of cards in the current rotation rather than making them anything unique. But like I said, doing them blind like this has the advantage of allowing you to just mass produce promos that you can give players the same prize week after week after week. They don't wear out of the cards, because not only do they have the potential to get something new, it's a chance that they could get anything. It's the fact that these sorts of prizes can go a long way that makes them appealing. I've encountered a lot of different ways to do organized play. I have done organized play over the course of roughly 20 years in several states. So I've experienced all of it, from stores that charge for organized play to stores that do it for free, for back when the Pokemon League was run by Toys R Us and all that. I've seen it all. And like I said, it really boils down to letting the stores run their organized play the way they want to, because it's what they're comfortable doing. Something I forget to mention in the video here is that it's actually pretty easy for basically anybody to make an organized play kit if they like, even through a site like GameCrafter. Because think about it, most games that have a tournament pack for cards tend to include enough cards to run 2 8-player tournaments. 8 cards for participation and 1 card for the winner. Add that together and you get 18 cards. And how many cards does GameCrafter allow you to put into a booster pack? Exactly. So long as you're willing to accept GameCrafter quality cards, then there you go. The other thing I really wanted to talk about was I directed people to a GDC, or Games Developers Conference video, which is called You Suck at Showcasing Your Game. And I pointed people there because it's a good advice on convention etiquette if you want to promote your game. They have a lot of fantastic basic tips, like pack more than you think you'll need, order your food before the event opens, a lot of stuff like that. There are some things that are less helpful for people who want to promote a card game. The list of conventions he makes are, as you might imagine, specialized more towards video games and electronic entertainment, which are great for people trying to promote a video game, but not so much for a card game. For a card game, you want to do conventions that have a large card game space and also a lot of tables that people can be demoed on and can play on, things like PAX or Gen Con or San Diego Comic-Con or Origins. If you look up where tournaments for major games, what sorts of conventions get tournaments for major games attached to them, those are generally good things to look into for promotion. He does give some other very useful things on promotion. For example, he talks about things like the banners, the signage, being large and recognizable even if you squint. One thing I remember from the Duel Masters mall tour was they actually had like these big oversized cards, and those are an absolutely phenomenal and economical way to do it. Like, a lot of games they want to show off, they have like the uncut cards and stuff, and that's great, but that doesn't really draw attention across a hallway. If you have like a huge version of one of your cards that you could get maybe run off as like a poster like anywhere, just a huge version of one of your cards that people can see from across the room, that's how you get attention. You have the bright colors, the big images, a lot of that kind of flash that he goes over in the video. Although the thing I really want to hammer on that he talks about in the video is about flyers, specifically how useless your typical flyers are. He talks about like the big paper flyers. He shows a table covered in flyers. It's like, no, these aren't where people place their flyers to get picked up by people. This is where all the people who were handed flyers have set them down to get rid of them. And then he talks about how he did small flyers that were the size of business cards, but each of those business cards featured a different character from the game, so they turned into like little collectibles for people who wanted all of the characters. And I'm like, yes. They should absolutely do that. If you ask me, one thing I've already said in the video is the best way to get people interested in your game is to get your cards into their hands. And that is something that honestly conventions should always do. Is, not only do you have like cool cards you can give away, they don't need to be like fancy or stamped or anything. If you can just run off a ton of copies of some cards that have like some nice artwork or that are easy to explain the game with, then those will work fine as well. They don't have to be like super rare competitive cards. They can be common cards, but the idea is that they're kind of free things to give away. Now, with these sorts of conventions, they normally have like a little goodie bag for people that they get when they pick up their badges. So you toss a card in there, but then, the people, they see that card, and then, they get another card if they come and visit you at your booth, and then they get another card if they let you demo your game for them, and then maybe another card if they do something like attend a developers panel or come back for some kind of tournament event or something like that. Just make a little adventure out of it. It's like I was talking about, the one thing that Star Wars Destiny organized play kit did right was it gave people kind of fun fest stuff to do. People who play card games are suckers for like having like a little adventure, like a little scavenger hunt that they could do. Like, if it's a particularly slow day at a convention, take these cards and plant them around the convention like Easter eggs, and just have all sorts of fun with it. Although, be careful with it. Like, I have some of these cards for the game Mage Wars. They actually have like a little MW stamp on there to go with the event they came from. But a mistake that they made was that they tied the cards you get to which day you show up. Like, you have to show up on the next day to get another card, and then the next day to get another card. Problem is, that excludes everybody who is only able to get like a 1-day pass, could only get 1 day off work or something like that. So you don't want to make anybody feel excluded. You want to make sure that people can get all of those little cards you're handing out in 1 day. And like I said, it's an adventure. It's a little thing that they had to work for, and it's your cards in their hand. So mission accomplished. They have some cards now that they have some sentimental value attached to. And like I said, they don't need to be anything fancy. If you want to do like fancy foil signed cards and stuff, save those for like premium events or stuff like that. And I mean, you have people, they show up to your booth, they're curious, they talk about your game for a while, they make their decision later. Yeah, they get the little demo card to remind them that they can come back for it. But, you know, if you get somebody who's like super excited, like they just show up to the booth and like super into your game and they buy a bunch of stuff right away, grab a handful of promos and chuck them into their bag, and that'll just be the cherry on top that makes their day even better, because they will go around and they'll tell their friends, you know, man, these guys, they were so cool to me, so nice to me. It's bringing on that solid first impression. It's being nice. It's making people remember your game because they think that you're just a swell bunch of folks, and that's a great way to promote your game, is to just give people that sentimental connection to things that go on, because that's really how you draw people in and get them connected to your game. And like I said, that's another thing organized play can do. Like you come in and you get like this little set of projects that you can do. I know that's how Pokemon did it for the longest time. They included like alternative challenges and like other stuff to do. Like there would be like a moderator, and you'd get points for like doing a trade. You get points for playing a game. You get points for doing all sorts of things. You get points for teaching somebody how to play the game. It was just a really fun and supportive environment. Yeah, if you guys have more comments on organized play, if you have fun stories about organized play, like I could probably go on all day about the stuff that happened at the Pokemon Trading Card Game League, where we would basically take over the break room at a local Toys R Us for a few hours, and how that was like a lot of my much needed social decompression for the time, back when Toys R Us was still a thing, rest in peace. But yeah, Christmas is coming up. I'm going to try to get at least one more Errata Text video done before that. It's going to be probably a mini-sode, one that might feature the legendary and abhorrent Jimothy. But yeah, that is another talk about organized play. Like I said, if you guys have more comments, more suggestions, if you have games that did interesting organized play activities, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. So yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, ring the bell. Apparently these calls to action work really well. And until next time, this is Kodak signing off.